Welcome, everyone. I see we have Mary Esther on our call. Hi, Mary Esther. So I'm going to just give you a little kudos. We're going to get started. Carmen asked us to end the call about 5 to 10 minutes early. So we'll just try to get through things really, really quickly tonight so we can get as much science and information as possible. And stick around because she's going to do another quick training on our run to director promotion. So you guys are going to want to hear more about that. I am super honored to host tonight. My name is Tina D'Angelo. I'm a national director here with APLGO. I have my own medical background, which is why I love interviewing Mary Esther. Because I feel like what she has is so knowledgeable, especially when it comes to our product. A little bit about Mary Esther Gilbert. She is a holistic nutritionist and botanical medicine expert with over 40 years of experience in nutritional healing, fitness, and energy work. She has a bachelor's in nutritional science, a master's in holistic nutrition. She developed the True Health Mastery System, which integrates the science of nutrition, biophysics, and emotional healing techniques to help clients achieve optimal health. She's an honors graduate with a strong background in holistic nutrition and nutrition science. Mary Esther has guided countless individuals in transforming their health through evidence-based protocols and holistic practices. She wrote a 500-page product reference and nutritional health guide about our technology and products, and can't stop raving what we have here at APLGO. We are so lucky to have her with us tonight to educate and go behind the science. But before we start, just a quick disclosure statement. These are professional opinions and views based on years of research and educational knowledge. We're not diagnosing, attempting to cure, prevent, or treat any diseases or conditions. Always ask your physician for medical advice. Okay, Mary Esther, what do you have for us tonight?
Well, hi everyone. I'm excited to be here with you tonight, Tina. You always have such technical questions, which I love.
I know.
Yeah, we're going to really have fun. We're going to have to rock it though, because I know we only have about 50 minutes tonight. But anyhow, hi to everybody. I'm happy to see you all here. So let me go ahead and share my screen and we'll just jump right in. And so here is your first question.
Yes. So the very first question we wanted to talk about was, can you explain the gut-brain connection and its significance in overall health? I think it's a really important hot topic nowadays.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah, people may be wondering out there why the gut has anything to do with the brain and vice versa. Well, it has everything to do because in the body, everything communicates together, and every living cell that composes every body system is going to communicate with whatever living microorganism that is in the body as well. These microorganisms have their DNA, they have their communication networks as well. So when they interact in a positive way, then we have optimal health vibrancy. So we'll go into and I'll explain what the gut brain axis really is. It's like a superhighway that accesses communications to various systems in the body that keep us well and protect us. Okay, so I just throw in a few pictures just so everyone can see what we're talking about here. I really like the visuals. I don't know about you guys. But it mostly takes place in the gastrointestinal tract or the GI tract. So we swallow food and food gets in there, or some kind of illness-causing microorganisms gets in our food, and so it gets inside our system as well. So we're going to concentrate on what happens in the intestinal area in the body where these microbes exist. There's good microbes and bad microbes, so we'll talk about that. So basically, the gut-brain axis is just the multi-directional communication network. It links the digestive tract with the central nervous system. So it involves the hormonal system and the nerve connections that go to the gastrointestinal tract, and that allows the brain to influence all of these intestinal actions that happen, and including the immune system and all the actions the immune system does. So we've got this gut communication taking place within the brain. And all of these microorganisms, which is kind of amazing, is that they actually influence our brain glands that influence the hormones that are produced that influence our mood and our cognition, you know, and mental health. So really quick, I just want to define what cognition really is. And I thought I had it in the beginning of this document. Here it is. Okay. The states and processes involved in knowing, perception, and judgment. Cognition includes all conscious and unconscious processes by which knowledge is accumulated, like perceiving, recognizing, conceiving, reasoning, all the things that we do in our everyday lives, right? We make decisions. So it's a state or experience of knowing that can be distinguished from an experience of feeling or willing. So all this thinking that we do, it really does depend on how healthy the organisms are in your gut. So they have a great influence on the hormonal system and the communication networks that happen, you know, in our nervous system. So getting back to the nervous system here. So this is just a really quick, I'm going to be giving you different visuals here, but of pretty much the same thing. But basically we have this vagus nerve that's connected from the digestive system all the way up to the glands in the brain. So, you know, things can go wrong if you've got poor nutrition. It's all based on nutrition. If you have nutritional deficiencies over time, if you're taking in toxic things or you have exposure to synthetics and other toxic chemicals in the environment, it's going to affect your gut because it gets in your bloodstream, it ends up in your intestines. So all of these different illness-causing microorganisms that their immune system rises to the challenge for, and also if you're eating the right types of fibers and the right types of phytonutrient compounds that are in our drops, you're going to have a very healthy bacterial or microflora environment in the intestines. So that's the goal, is to try to make sure that you're getting the right foods in there so you have the right environment in your gut so that it can communicate with all your other systems, especially the nervous system and the hormonal system and the immune system. Okay. So again, the PDF is going to be always available to everyone for downloads on my website. Okay, so I just, go ahead.
Oh, keep going. I was just going to mention that I love how you bring up the vagus nerve as a direct pathway from the large intestine to the brain, because I think a lot of people don't realize how attached through nerves and our arteries and veins our gut is to our brain.
Yes. I know, right? It's just hard to believe. We've got this super highway of information going on all the time, and it goes back and forth between the brain and the gut. So anyhow, I just wanted to show you a little bit, I give you an idea of what the different kinds of microbes that exist that are good and sometimes bad in the intestines. So this is a micro photograph of the intestine, and they're just trying to show you, you know, what adheres to the walls of the intestine. These are all the nutrient and water absorbing microvilli that are in the stomach and in the small intestine and in the large intestine. Okay, and so these are just depictions of the different kinds of microbes that exist in there. So we've got 4 major pathways of this gut-brain axis. Like I said, it goes from the brain to the vagus nerve via the central nervous system. So we've got all these pathways that go to all these different systems. You've got this gut, down here is the intestinal microbiota, and the gut, you know, the lumen, which I showed you here. This is called the lumen up here. So then we've got information going to the pituitary gland and the hypothalamus gland of the brain. So we've got all these hormones that are going back and forth, you know, communicating from the gut to the brain and back again. Also, the nervous system is always monitoring. There's always information going back and forth through this vagus nerve. And then we've got the metabolites pathway. The types of fats you take in really make a lot of difference in how you manage your gut health, and other phytonutrients, of course, and other nutrients. And then we've got the immune system pathway, whether it's going to be detecting inflammatory responses like the cytokine protein responses and all these different cells that the immune system puts out to monitor and destroy things that don't belong there. Then we've got the neural pathway, you know, and so, yeah, all these neurotransmitters, you know, and metabolites that are always communicating and creating this huge superhighway of information is what keeps us well. So here, I'm not going to read every word, but these are the different pathways that I just described in the picture there, and you'll just get a little bit more detail on, you know, what each one does. I could read them, but I'm afraid we may run out of time. Tina, what do you
Yeah.
think?
We could look at it through your PDF. I think that would be great, especially for those who
Okay,
want a more in-depth, because I know some of this can get really technical, and you're right. We want to make sure we get to some of the other questions tonight. Are we
good.
ready to move on to the next question?
Let's see. Yes, I believe so. Yeah, these are just more pictures of the same kind of thing. People need different, perspectives, different visuals. So I tried to throw in as much different angles about our nervous system as possible. So we're dealing with the sympathetic and the parasympathetic. The sympathetic is what happens in an emergency, what happens when your body is on fight or flight kind of thing, or chronic stress over time. You're constantly in this fight or flight, and it's very wearing and exhausting in the body. The other part of the autonomic nervous system is the parasympathetic, where it just maintains and keeps house, make sure that everything is going on properly in the system.
Yeah, the visuals are
Yes.
great, especially
Yeah.
with the anatomy. So what role does the gut microbiome play in cognitive function and mental health disorders such as anxiety and depression? Because it's definitely something that I think affects us all, right? Mental health, mental wellness. And people want to know, how is this going to affect our mental and cognitive function?
Yes. I'm so glad we're talking about this because so many of my clients came to me with so many health problems there that they were under the care of their physicians, of course. And so all I did was teach them how to improve their digestive system, their digestive tract, and get the junk out and make sure that they're receiving the right nutrients so that the system can just adjust itself, go back to its proper homeostasis or biochemical balance. So this has a lot to do with how you perceive things. It can affect your moods and affect these glands that are in the brain and the hormones that they produce. So, you've got all these different dysfunctions that could happen if you've got dysbiosis, which is just a disruption of the normal microbiota or microbial environment in the intestines. Then you're going to have health issues. If you create blockages and things like that in the intestine, that's going to impair all these different communication pathways too. So, all these different things like neuromuscular dysfunction, the peristaltic action, gets disrupted, and the type of blood vessels that are the health and flexibility and the strength of their blood vessels, things like that. So if you're going to eat the wrong foods, then you're going to have a problem in the intestines. So other problems, you've got all these different stress factors that produce stress hormones, infections, where the immune system is overrun by the illness-causing bacteria, the junk food diet, the high sugar, refined sugar and chemical beverages kind of thing, and non-fiber in the food and not enough the right kinds of water, that kind of thing will also just set these things off. So, you've got all these other health problems, neurodegenerative disorders that result, obesity. It's going to affect your hormone production. It's going to affect how you think. So you're going to experience life through the higher levels of anxiety and depression. You'll have all these inflammatory responses and pain, and so, according to this scientific research that I pulled out, they also label psychiatric disorders. So all of it, I have found that my clients have gone back to a more calm and rational way of thinking when they're highly nourished and they don't respond so severely to stress.
I mean, it makes sense. And especially with the hormones, because, people don't realize that our gut, like, there's been a lot of research. I don't know your opinion on it, but a lot of people are saying up to 90% of our serotonin is produced in our gut, which it directly affects, anxiety, depression, and mood.
Yeah, I mean, there is the hormonal effect as well, absolutely. And so it's going to communicate again through all these different sensory organs, right? And send signals everywhere. And so the body's very responsive to that kind of stimuli. So we have to make sure we maintain that calm and homeostasis. Your biochemistry, all your nutrient factors are present so that your body can function normally.
Yes, agree. So I know this is another hot topic, right? Inflammation. We always hear inflammation is the root of all disease processes, right? But how does inflammation in the gut specifically affect our brain health?
Yeah, so when you are in pain or if there's some damage or if you're experiencing stress on a regular basis, then your body is going to produce inflammatory proteins, inflammatory hormones, and all these different responses that are going to create inflammation. Or if you're eating the wrong foods, you're not getting enough fiber and the nutrients required to process those foods properly. By the time they get into your lower intestine, then there's going to be a world of inflammation because it's not going to allow the your waste products to move through and get rid of them, right? So you've got to be able to get that in motion on a regular basis so it doesn't sit there and fester and feed the illness-causing microorganisms that can grow very, very quickly and create illness and inflammatory problems all the time. So yeah, when you have the brain and the gastrointestinal tract, you've got these sensory organs and they can detect and relay all this information. They can integrate information. They can respond to all the signals that the body's receiving from both the internal environment, like I just mentioned, and the external environment, response to stress or injury or synthetic, toxic chemicals in the environment. Anything that doesn't belong in the body that ends up in the body is going to result in inflammation. So, you've got all this multi-directional communication signals that are going to regulate and respond to inflammation.
Yeah, I can see
So
why people say the gut is the gateway to all organ systems because it really affects multi organs throughout our body.
it does. And it depends on how well nourished you are or how poorly nourished you are and how much stress you can handle. So being highly nourished, it just calms the nervous system down, produces the hormones that allow you to think and allow you to make better choices. So it all really is very intricately connected between your emotional and psychological perspectives and your physical health. And it all starts in what you put into your body and what ends up happening in the gut.
Yeah, makes so much sense. So I think this is what a lot of people would love to know about more of is what specific key nutrients in BRN and MLS are known to support a healthy gut-brain connection.
Okay, great. Let's spend a little bit of time on this. I'm watching the clock here. So we've got the brain, and I pulled out from my trusty book that, and I spent
Yeah.
months. I'm glad I spent all those months putting together all this intricate scientific data on all these botanicals. I refer to it all the time, as I'm sure a lot of you do too,
Yes,
that have
love
it.
it.
So anyhow, the BRN, I pulled out the aspects of the botanicals in the BRN that contribute to the gut-brain connection. So all of these phytonutrient compounds that are present in the botanicals in these drops contain the kind of attributes that will help the communication networks between the brain and the gut. So they're all connected that way, which is great about the plant kingdom. They're so multifunctional, but you can actually pull out and decide what aspect of a plant does whatever you need it to do in the body. So this is what's great about these phytonutrient compounds. They're vast categories and subcategories of plant chemicals that the plant needs to stay healthy and protect itself from predators, or some animals can't stand a lot of these plants because of these phytonutrient compounds are too bitter. These compounds are too bitter and they don't want to eat them. I had a wild boar eat my houseplant that I set outside one night, and it left all my other herbs alone. Didn't like any of the other herbs, just ate the houseplant. But
Oh,
anyhow, and of course the scavenging insects that whose job is to eat and consume and break down plants that are unhealthy. So that's what these nutrients do. They do this for plants, and they do the exact same thing for the human body. They protect us, they detoxify, they improve the immune system functions, and all of that. So then, as far as the digestion, and as far as the brain and nervous system, then these are the compounds that I pulled out of the book that will help improve the nervous system communication pathways and protect the nerve cell fibers so that they don't break down and they don't start deteriorating and degenerating and causing all kinds of neurodegenerative health problems. So then the same thing, I pulled it out for the MLS. And, if you've got the book, you'll know that each botanical will list all of the different health attributes that science has been able to find in the last 50, maybe sometimes 100 years. So all these worldwide scientific peer-reviewed studies all compiled into these different documents. So I just pulled out, how it applies to us in this call. So the digestion in the intestines, we've got all of these. And you might find the same ones up here or other variations in their subclassifications, and then the nerves as well. So we've got all of these here. So then I just went ahead and I like to put together these charts, these quick reference charts. There were just too many attributes and too many plants to do it in the normal, looking down and looking across to pick out what these attributes are for whatever body system we're looking for. So I just pulled out and just summarized as briefly as I could on each one of these botanicals that are in both MLS and in the brain. So basically, I just pulled out the information, anything having to do with the immune system, the hormonal system, and the digestive system, and how they all work together. So this will be a good quick reference chart for anybody who wants to put together these two products.
I love that. That really helps so much. And there are so many good botanicals and nutrients and BRN and MLS. I can definitely attest to that. I can see why those two work really, really well together.
Yes.
So I guess we should go on to the next question, because on the same token, how does deficiency of certain nutrients, right? We know we're not getting all those good nutrients from our food sources. So how is that going to affect cognitive function and brain health?
Okay, so these are all the different nutrients. And we have to stop it for a moment and say, and notice that there are other, like I talked about, other factors that affect our abilities to handle stress and maintain the health of our intestines. But other things like neural degeneration and depression, type 2 diabetes, midlife hypertension, high blood pressure, midlife obesity, physical inactivity, and just the lack of knowledge, not knowing what foods to eat, what nutrients to take, and that kind of thing. So these will all affect one's cognition, especially as they start aging. And then we've got, of course, all these things that lead to those biochemical imbalances that lead to those mood disorders. And again, I pulled this out of scientific research. I'm not making any claims about any of these conditions. I'm just listing what the scientists found for you guys. And I do list all the citations and the reference sources here. So then we've got the biochemical imbalances, that I talked about, and alcohol and smoking, substance abuse, so degenerative conditions in the various body systems. So let's look at what nutrients are actually going to help. Okay, so we need the full range of vitamins, minerals, enzymes, phytonutrient compounds, proteins, fats, carbohydrates, the right types of whole food molecular structures in unaltered foods. And physical activity is very important, getting sunlight and getting fresh air and getting the circulation going, even if it's just a short walk every day, or even, 2-3 times a day is a lot better than nothing. Stretching in the morning is also very good. Just start where you are and start building your strength and endurance capacity so that your system will stay younger longer, and therefore be more efficient. Your metabolic rate will be, more efficient. Okay, and of course, social interactions are so important for human health as well. So, and then we'll talk about the genetic predisposition. There are genetic predispositions for that, and there are things we can do for that, but there'll be more on that in a moment. So, and then as you grow up, childhood experiences will lead to sometimes behavioral dysfunction, and they'll increase the risk for chronic disease because of the stress chemicals that are circulating in the body, disrupting the growth process, or even for adults, disrupting how our cells behave. So, nutritional deficiencies can affect early brain development, so these are some of the things that we need to address. But fortunately, the nutrients will help address many of those and keep the system calm and keep the cells functioning optimally. So here's the relationship between gut microbiome and brain function. We've got all these different nutrients I mentioned, especially vitamins A, D, and the B vitamin complexes. And this is from whole foods. When you buy a supplement, if it doesn't mention plant-derived or whole food complexes, then you're only getting partial molecules, and those are labeled synthetics since they don't complete the job. Okay, and so your body can't complete its job too. So cholecalciferol, this is what you get from sunlight exposure, and you can get supplements that have this type of vitamin D in it. It's vitamin D3. Actually, I thought I had that on there. And then vitamin A from fish oils, or your body can convert all these different plant chemicals, especially the carotenoid classification in different plants. Your body can convert it to vitamin A as needed. That way you don't have to worry about vitamin A toxicity. And then we've got plant-derived minerals, iron for transporting oxygen to the brain and all the body systems. We need oxygen to think, to move, right? Oxygen is required for everything at all times. And then we can prevent iron deficiency anemia that's associated with cognitive, mental, motor impairment, impaired coordination, attention, memory, executive function, like planning, problem solving, reasoning, things like that. So I want to make sure that people don't go out and buy iron supplements because they're the wrong type of supplements. They can end up in the liver and overwhelm the liver, and it becomes very, very toxic, and even it's a health hazard, and it could be life-threatening. So please do not go out and buy individual nutrients. Vitamin D is one exception for that, however, but you can get that from sunlight. And then another thing that's noted in the scientific literature is iodine deficiency. So it's been shown to have a link between prenatal deficiency and cognitive development, and it's a preventable cause of mental retardation. That's something I learned, and I was very excited to know that, But again, you don't want to go out and overdose on one nutrient because they can accumulate in the body inappropriately and cause a lot of side effects, So you don't want to do that either. There's a lot of foods out there that are high in iodine and other minerals. So you've got a synergistic kind of thing going on in the body rather than an isolated nutrient trying to function without all of the other augmenting nutrients that the body needs in order to complete all of its functions. Okay, yeah, so, there's a lot of other problems with iodine deficiencies. I guess that's why they put it in salt, cognitive functioning, spelling, and reading deficits in children. All right, so then we've got, of course, the literature also mentions the classifications of the polyphenols and the phenolic acids. Those are always also known to benefit the gut microbe populations. So these are the different types of fibers too. The different types of fibers that you find in food. The soluble fiber, which is like the pectins, that's in apple and beans and pears and certain fruits. And a lot of berries and just different foods. But then you've got the insoluble fibers that just sweep the intestinal tract. We don't have digestive enzymes to digest that kind of fiber. Both are extremely important to prevent all these problems, overgrowths of these disease-causing anaerobic microorganisms, So you've got to have these foods to produce the right byproducts that are in the gut to keep the gut healthy, just for system maintenance. And so, they're needed for breaking down and recycling bile that your body produces that digests fat, in the gallbladder. And then we've got all these different microbes. You've got the oxygen-hating bacteria, which is the illness-causing bacteria, the viruses, the fungi, and the parasites. So the immune system has to be on top of this kind of thing. So we need those nutrients to help the immune system. So then you want to avoid excess dietary fats, and I put this in blue just to outline just a quick crash course in nutrition. These are the kinds of whole foods you want in your diet at all times so that you can have the full range of vitamins and minerals and phytonutrients, in your diet every single day. So all these are shown to improve cognition too. They just act in synergy. There's all these different nutrients acting in synergy to create this balance in the body. So you're going to have better attention, processing speed, working memory. You'll have a quicker mind. You'll be able to remember things faster. You can recognize things and, oh yeah, I remember that. I saw that, you can relate to things in detail, right? So all these executive functions that we mentioned as well. So I just wanted to show you a picture of the different types of illness-causing problems that can be stuck in the microbiome in the gut. So you want to be able to clear that out and have the immune system destroy all these things.
Well, thank goodness for APLGO drops, right? To give us some of that good nutrition that our
Yes.
body is definitely craving and needing, just from everything that we're being bombarded with all day long.
Oh yes, those phytonutrients are so important.
Yeah. So this is also kind of another topic. A lot of people are using terms like biohack and, looking into our DNA or, our genetic code. So I thought this would be an appropriate question. How do genetic factors interact with nutrition to influence cognitive function? And how does our Accumulate SA drops help address this? It's kind of a two-part question.
Yeah, again, it's those nutrients. They are, invaluable for helping us perform all these functions in the body. With just the autonomic nervous system going to work and doing the work for us, all we have to do is put these nutrients in our bodies and they go to work together. So, there's so many correlations between nutrition and cognitive functioning that we just already discussed, really. But to just take it a little bit deeper, we have a little bit more time here. Environmental influences and circumstances, of course, they'll affect us. Lifestyle choices. Are we going to wear our bodies down, overwork it without sleep, or just eat the wrong things so that our cells cannot regenerate and recuperate ourselves for, having an energetic life, and of course, these genetic characteristics, they form early in utero, as the nervous system and the enteric nervous system or the gastrointestinal tract is developing in the fetus. They're also influenced in their development by the nutritional status of the mother. So that's why pregnant women must pay particular attention to, to everything they're putting into their baby. So it will affect their genetics, right? And then also there's a thing called the epigenetics, and this is how cells control the activity without changing the sequence of the genes in the DNA. So sometimes we have DNA damage, and so that can start the disease process, or all these different illnesses that occur. And of course, our drops are known to contain the DNA of plants, which is extremely beneficial because we are so compatible, and our DNA actually will transcribe segments of plant DNA to correct, these kinds of damages in our own DNA. But epigenetics is something different. It has to do with your environment. It could affect how you behave and how you act and affect your character traits and all kinds of things. Brainwashing is the thing that comes to mind for some reason. So, all these things that occur outside of our physiology affect how we live our lives, and how we see things. And then we've got the neuroplasticity, and that's the link between the genetics and environmental factors that affect the cerebral structure. So, the brain grows and evolves in response to life experiences, and it starts growing new nerve communication pathways and networks when you are highly nourished and the nerves are able to form these new networks. That's what neuroplasticity is all about. So when, let's say someone has a stroke, and if they are highly nourished, then the brain has the wherewithal to start building new pathways and new networks. People sometimes they lose their ability to talk, right? If they have a head injury, and then they can relearn and start talking again, or restore their memory. Some of those neural pathways might be able to be repaired, but if they relearn things, then they will be able to carry on and function normally in life eventually again, kind of thing. So this is what neuroplasticity does for you. And then the gut-brain health, the aging effects with the cognitive functioning, right? You don't want to have a poor gut environment. It will affect your cognition and your motor and your executive, decision making and things like that. Attention, memory, language, and the visual spatial functions. Can I see far? Can I drive a car and gauge distances? Kind of thing. So a lot of different things apply to that. And then we've got the common health conditions, because of dysbiosis, and that's disruption of the microbiome balance in the body. And it's going to affect your heart. It's going to affect your immune system. It's going to affect your glandular systems, and so all that, of course, is going to disrupt how you think and able to determine and perceive your world, So if you've got all these inflammatory markers that we mentioned already, and they're going out throughout the immune system, your body's too busy trying to reduce inflammation, return itself back to normal, So we want to make sure that our lifestyles and our nutrition choices are beneficial so that we can have a happier, healthier life, and do things.
Mm.
So then, these are just the basic nutritional guidelines that are also mentioned in the literature, the polyunsaturated fatty acids, the omega-3 fatty acids, in other words, and all these things that they help. Polyphenols, all of their inflammatory neuroprotective effects on the body. B complex, that's extremely important for the nervous system to make sure that those communication highways, throughout the nervous system are functioning. And here it is, the vitamin D3. I know I put that 3 in there somewhere. Cholecalciferol, for attention and memory. Vitamin D is the precursor to so many things that the body can build and maintain itself for. Working memory, cognitive decline. If you don't have enough vitamin D, you're going to have unhealthy bones. I mean, I'm going off on another tangent, other things vitamin D does, but of course it's going to affect your executive function, that kind of thing. Vitamin E, you want the carrier for oxygen delivery throughout the entire body, and it also helps maintain the gut microflora in the gut, and also will help the nervous system have that gut-brain communication and that gut-brain access. One more thing here.
Okay. No, go ahead.
Oh, okay. Disruption of the beneficial aerobic intestinal microbes. Okay, so yeah, you want, again, it's those microbes. You want to maintain the healthy ones in there so that you can not have any of these problems here.
Well, I was just going to say, I feel extremely grateful to take my MLS and BRN every day after hearing a lot of this. Those two are like, I have my non-negotiables, and those two are definitely in my non-negotiables. And my kids, like a lot of us are starting our kids back to school this week or coming up, and I'm with all the cognitive and just even the aging process. To me, I'm just like everyone should be, addressing their gut along with their cognitive. So thank you so much for
Yeah.
that.
Yes. So when kids go back to school, you want them to be alert. You want them to be calm. You want them to be so highly nourished that their gut-brain superhighway, communications are going to keep them well, and their attention spans, their ability to retain information, everything that kids need for school, right?
Oh,
These are definitely going to help.
couldn't agree more. So I guess how do our accumul drops help address some of these genetic factors or nutrition deficiencies?
So let's just go over it again. I just wanted to review everything. It's kind of redundant, but I like the fact because I got to answer different aspects of that question, the basic questions. So we've got the phytonutrients. They'll help maintain those populations, the microflora in the microbiome. And then we've got phytonutrients that will aid the immune system, and it'll destroy those illness or disease-causing microorganisms, or help the immune system be more efficient in doing that, or to help the immune system identify them more efficiently and get mobilized to destroy them. And then we've got that two-way communication in this gut-brain and brain-gut axis, this communication going back and forth. And then we've got for the repair and maintenance and correct regeneration of the nerves and the brain, the immune cells and the hormonal production in the different glands that are not only in the brain, but in other areas of the body, And then we've got the genetic information of the plant DNA that we talked about. So with all those things, that's how the drops will help address this.
I love that. And the fact that our product bypasses the digestive system altogether. I mean, I've heard nutritional experts say, if we could just figure out how to treat the gut without going through the gut, right? Sometimes our gut counteracts our ability to get well, for obvious reasons. So I love that we have all these amazing things that our accumul drops can actually address, even our own delivery system.
Yeah, I mean, it goes into the bloodstream, and the
Yeah.
bloodstream goes everywhere, including, the gut. And so we've got capillaries that are so long that if we laid them out, stretch them out, it would be from here to the moon and back. That's how many millions of miles of capillaries we have. So if you cut yourself anywhere in your body, you're going to cut into a capillary, right?
Yeah.
Or an artery. So when the drops are absorbed through the mucosal cell membranes in the mouth, it enters the bloodstream and it gets circulated everywhere. And all these controlling, monitoring systems in the body will direct them wherever they're needed. The body does have a hierarchy. So it'll definitely get there. It'll definitely be able to communicate with that.
Thank you. So this is our last question. I think we might actually get out of here on time. Maybe we could even take a couple questions if we have a few minutes.
Yeah,
So
I was
how do you,
hoping.
yeah, I hope so too. I think people bring some good questions. So how do you see the future of nutritional research and understanding and enhancing cognitive functions, especially having access to our cutting edge, innovative, rapid DNA drops?
I think after looking at the scientific literature, I think there needs to be more research done on this, because not enough of the bridging together of what you put into your body nutritionally and how it affects your cognitive functions. It's known that there's a superhighway of communications going on, but they never emphasize enough about nutrients. And I didn't find one about what the phytonutrients do in this subject area. In my research, when I did research on the phytonutrients, then they do mention the fact that they affect this body system and all body systems, really. So different types of plant combinations of phytonutrients will act in certain ways for all the different body systems. But in this case, there needs to be more research for this specific pathway, And then also the technology, they're just ahead of their time. I've never seen any technology that will allow that kind of absorbability and direct, effect in the body the way this does. So yeah, that's one thing that's great. And then, so keep on keeping on, APLGO.
Yeah.
We need you. So then we've got all these different technologies. I think they should evolve toward more accurate diagnostics, that pinpoint the causes of these degenerative health conditions. Like in the biophotonics, it's a subcategory of physics. So in the biophotonics field, they've developed this technology that can actually scan the body, and it'll illuminate areas in the body that have problems, that have the disease or whatever illness the person has. So I think that I used to subscribe to a magazine called Biophotonics, but it was a disappointment. They didn't give me enough of the scientific research, So, but there is technology out there, and it is a relatively new field of physics or biophysics. So I hope they continue on with that. And then, the research, we just need more research to just add to the knowledge, And then, of course, to me, it's the ancient healing knowledge that is always so impressive, because I grew up with ancient healing knowledge, but it wasn't until 40 years ago that I started looking into the scientific literature and discovering how much research was done on these botanicals that people have been using for thousands of years. So it's nice to see that they're bridging the gap between the ancient knowledge and the modern scientific research that's been going on also for the last few decades, And so it's actually confirming what these indigenous peoples knew. So human beings have been intelligent for a long, long time. So they've meticulously gathered the causes and effects, this empirical data, and compiled into their own materia medicas, their medical, books through the ages. The Chinese have their set, and I'm not sure about the other ethnicities, but I'm sure they probably do too, kind of thing. So yeah, this is I hope that continues too.
Yeah,
Here's
I
all
love
the
that.
references.
Oh, wow, that's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree. I feel like science is just here proving what we've already known we've had here on this earth to heal and cure us, right? It's just innovation's finally catching up, but proving what I call nature's medicine. And isn't that so interesting that you couldn't find a lot of this new innovative technology, but obviously here at APLGO, we're already ahead of the curve.
Yeah, I think I need to look into more of the search engines that I'm using, because I think a lot of them are being censored right now. Let's not get into that. We're still being recorded. But anyhow, that's what I'm discovering. I don't see as nearly as much research that comes to the forefront when I'm using certain search engines.
Interesting.
Yeah.
Well, we have 5 minutes. Can we take a couple questions and then we'll call it a night? Anyone have a question in the chat or raise their hand if you have something you'd like to ask Mary Esther? Now's your chance.
Tina,
Yes.
I was wondering about the timing of these drops. I was always taking MLS at night and brain in the morning. Do you suggest that time?
Hi, Debbie. Yeah, absolutely. That's the best time to take anything like that because your body, is resting and the metabolism slow down, and so it can focus on regenerating and repairing, all of these different things that need repairing. So absolutely.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
Yeah. And in fact, I like to take MLS in the morning only because I feel like it gives me a little energy. But I feel like there probably is no wrong way to take it, but I know our body does do a lot of the reparative processes at night. I'm one that forgets to take it before I go to bed. So I'd rather have it and then not have it. And what about BRN? Because I know it's so cognitive. I've actually had people tell me that it wakes up their brain if they take it too late in the day. And so sometimes you're trying to calm it down.
Yeah, it can. It does have the green coffee bean, which is much more mild than a concentrated cup of roasted coffee, roasted bean coffee. But yeah, it depends on the person. I know someone who can drink, 2 cups of coffee and go to bed. She claims that it makes her relax. If I did that, I'd be awake for a week.
Yeah, right. I would too. That was a great question. Anyone else
Yeah.
have another question, maybe specific to brain and MLS? We have some recommendations. Well, I know that just letting everyone know, and I think it may have already gone live, but after our call, we're having a special on brain and MLS in our back office. Did you guys see that? It's $100 for both, and it's a buy one, get one. So you get 2 boxes of brain, 2 boxes of MLS for $100. You can't beat that. To me, it's like a 2-month supply. And everyone should be on the MLS and BRN. My whole family takes it, so I know we go through a lot. We go through a lot of those too.
So I noticed one question there that I think we should address, unless it's time to go.
Yeah, no, we
Couple
have
more
a few
minutes.
more minutes.
Okay, so Anthony asked if we'd recommend any of the drops who has cancer or brain cancer. So we can't answer that question in this environment. But if you look up phytonutrients, if you type in the words phytonutrient compounds and brain cancer, and then type in scientific journal after that, don't leave that out, and send it off, and you'll see the scientific research on different botanicals that have been done, that have been shown to destroy cancer cells, either in the petri dishes and the laboratories in vitro, or some studies that have been done on human subjects and animal subjects. So you'll find a lot of the research there. So that hopefully will answer your question.
Thank you. That was a great direction. So love doing your own research, right?
Yeah, it is. It's fun.
Jenny actually had a really good question. She says, having like a gastric bypass, would a product like ours probably still work properly to get the nutrition, that gut-brain balance?
Depends on how much of the gastric intestines have been removed and if they're still functioning. So if you have any functioning at all, which I would hope so, otherwise you wouldn't be able to be alive, you need the gut, So I would say yes, because the brain is and the cells in our bodies are extremely intelligent. It's the DNA in every single cell that's a replica of how the body functions in every single body system. So if someone is very, very injured in one area of the body, the DNA is still present, and the instructions to repair and regenerate is still present in the rest of the body. So, I would say then, yeah, I think it would probably work pretty well.
That's good to know. Well, we're 10 minutes till. Can everyone unmute themselves and give Mary Esther a big round of applause? She comes and does these for us every month, and they're so educational. And then Mary Esther, if you could just let everyone know where to find your PDF.
Thank you, Mary Esther. Thank you.
Thank you.
You're
Yes,
welcome.
Appreciate
Thank
you.
you.
Thank you, thank you,
You're
thank you.
welcome.
Love
Awesome.
you.
Love it, love it.
Yeah,
Thank
go
you.
to you're welcome. Go to holisticchoices.com and you'll see /APL. And that page has all of the
Thank
videos
you.
we do, all the PDFs. You're welcome.
Good.
My
This will be
pleasure and my
exciting.
honor.
Yep.
Thank
Can
you
you
all.
type in the chat where to go?
Okay.
I just
Let's see
dropped
if
it
I-
for you. You're good, Mary. I dropped it for you.
It's
Oh,
in the
okay.
Thank
chat.
you.
Yeah,
All right,
it's
thanks.
holisticchoices.com. If you do the /APL at the end, I will take you right to your PDFs, correct?
I think it's / pretty sure.
Yeah, it's forward.
Forward slash, okay, forward
Yeah,
slash
yeah.
APL.
Okay.
Okay, well, everyone have a good night and stick around for our next little training.
Okay, everybody. Have a good
Thank
meeting.
you.
Bye-bye.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Bye.